Hello, my name is Andrew Cohen. This video presentation will discuss the topic of your right to know the Materials Safety Data Sheet, or MSDS, and its importance to the workplace, to you, and to our guests. Some of you watching this presentation will know what an MSDS sheet is and of its importance. This video will act as a refresher. For those who do not know what an MSDS is, this presentation will serve to educate you on the importance of safety in the workplace. Specifically, you are working with and exposure to potentially hazardous chemicals. As hospitality professionals, part of your job description is ensuring not only the safety of each other, but also the safety of the guest. A better understanding of what chemicals we'll come in contact with when working in this restaurant will help in guaranteeing our commitment to safety in the workplace. After you watch this presentation, there will be a short 4-question quiz to see how well you understood this material. The ultimate goal of this presentation is to reduce the number of injuries and illnesses related to hazardous materials to an absolute minimum by educating you on who an MSDS is for, what an MSDS is, and how to use and understand an MSDS. Imagine, what would it cost you if you had to miss a week's worth of work due to an accident related to chemical exposure? Could you pay your bills? Could you buy food for your family? Now, in most cases, a workplace injury would be covered under workers' compensation. However, financial support for your injury would not be immediately available. In fact, in some states, the workers' comp insurance company has up to 30 days to pay benefits from the day that it has given notice of the disability, or 30 days from the day that the court entered an order, award, or judgment. According to the Centers for Disease Control, it is estimated that more than 13 million workers in the United States are potentially exposed to chemicals that can be absorbed through the skin. Dermal exposure to hazardous agents can result in a variety of occupational diseases and disorders, including occupational skin diseases, OSD for short, and systemic toxicity. OSD are the second most common type of occupational disease and can occur in several different forms, including irritant contact dermatitis, allergic contact dermatitis, skin cancers, skin infections, and skin injuries. With contact dermatitis being one of the most common types of occupational illnesses, it is estimated to have an annual cost exceeding over $1 billion. Safety organizations, states, small business owners, and major corporations alike now realize that the actual cost of a single lost workday, much less a week or more due to injury, is substantial. For every dollar spent on the direct costs of a worker's injury or illness, much more will be spent to cover the indirect and hidden costs. Consider what one lost workday injury would cost the company in terms of productive time lost by the injured employee, productive time lost by employees and supervisors attending to the accident victim, cleanup and startup of operations interrupted by the accident, time to hire or to retrain other individuals to replace the injured worker until his or her return, time and cost to repair or replace of any damaged equipment or materials, cost of continuing all or part of the employee's wages in addition to compensation, reduced morale among your employees and perhaps lower efficiency, increased workers' compensation insurance rates, and cost of completing paperwork generated by the incident. While these indirect costs may seem to not have an immediate effect on you, the loss of revenue may lead to less money for raises, to a decrease in the number of employees, to even financial ruin of the company and its eventual closing. Along with physical concerns for safety, such financial concerns are just some of the reasons why safety in the workplace is given such momentous importance in the daily operations of the restaurant. So when we think of whom MSDSs are meant for, they are employees who may be occupationally exposed to a hazard at work, employers who need to know the proper methods for storage, emergency responders such as firefighters, hazardous material crews, emergency medical technicians, and emergency room personnel. And as stated earlier, as a hospitality professional, you must know that the guest, who is the end user of our product, is also at risk of exposure resulting from how you handle potential hazards. So what is an MSDS? This paper is an MSDS. You will find them contained in either a pouch or folder labeled MSDS and stored near the chemical storage area. At this point, we'll review what an MSDS is comprised of. MSDSs include information such as physical data, such as the melting point, boiling point, flash point, etc., the toxicity, health effects, first aid, reactive, storage, disposal, protective equipment, spill leak procedures, and so on. This information is critical should a spill or other accident occur. MSDSs vary in length depending on their format, content, and font size. I have seen them range from 1 to 10 pages, most, however, being 2 to 4 pages in length. Here is a copy of a typical MSDS sheet. There are 16 sections. You will notice in the top right corner of the title, Material Safety Data Sheet. Just below that, centered to the page, is the name of the product the sheet is written about. In Section 1, the title is Product and Company Identification. You will find this product name, MSDS number, product code, recommended use, contact information for the manufacturer, importer, and supplier, and an emergency telephone number of the company. Section 2, titled Hazards Identification, you will find an emergency overview, principal routes of exposure, and symptoms of exposure. Section 3 is titled Composition Information on Ingredients. You will find a list of ingredients along with other physical information. Of note is the LD50 number. This number references the median lethal dose of a substance or the dose required to kill half the members of a tested population after a specified test duration. Section 4 is titled First Aid Measures. This lists methods of treatment depending on the area of the body that was exposed. Section 5, titled Firefighting Measures, lists the methods that are approved for extinguishing the product should it catch fire. Section 6 is titled Accidental Release Measures. It lists precautions that must be taken in such an event and ways to clean up the release. Section 7, titled Handling and Storage, lists the specific ways you are to interact with the product and what measures are to be taken when storing the product. Section 8 is titled Exposure Controls and Personal Protection. It lists ways to protect and prevent hazardous exposure to the product when using it. Section 9 is titled Physical and Chemical Properties. It lists important information about the characteristics of the product. Section 10 is titled Stability and Reactivity. This lists the conditions when the product is unstable and therefore poses a greater risk. Section 11 is titled Toxicological Information. It lists the acute toxicity, component information, chronic toxicity, and specific effects like carcinogenic, mutagenic, reproductive, or target organs this product has on the individual when they become exposed to it. Of great importance in this section is the LD50 rating of the product's acute toxicity. Section 12, titled Ecological Information, lists any relevant information on the effect the product has on the ecology. Section 13, titled Disposal Considerations, lists the necessary procedures to store and dispose of the product without contaminating food, water, or feed. Section 14 is titled Transport Information. It lists the relevant information required by the Department of Transportation. Section 15, titled Regulatory Information, lists what U.S. and international regulations the particular product is governed by. Section 16 is titled Other Information and will usually list additional advice if there is any. So in review, a Material Safety Data Sheet, or MSDS, is provided by the manufacturer of a chemical or product. This MSDS contains critical information about the product in question, with regards to ingredients, the procedures for safely working with and storing the product, how to identify if someone has been exposed to potentially hazardous substances, what first aid to provide, what to do if the product is accidentally released, if and how the product can become toxic, proper disposal, and how to control exposure through personal protection. Now that you have an understanding of what an MSDS is, who it is for, and how to use it, you will need to review all MSDS for the chemicals used in this restaurant. Be sure to follow all handling instructions and remember what specifically to do when an accident related to hazardous materials occur. If there is ever any question about a chemical used in this restaurant, or if you do not have an understanding of any information provided in the MSDS, you should immediately contact the manager or shift manager on duty and ask for guidance. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this presentation.